Well, good afternoon. It's Crazy Cheap Chick, and I'm back from vacation. I had to grab a few things at the store, so let me turn this camera around and show you what I found today. Of course, I cleaned out my refrigerator before I went to the grocery store, and I'm just showing you a lot of the items I saw on clearance. I see a ton more than what I actually buy. I try to remind myself I don't need it just because it's on clearance, and to buy just what I need. Saving $1,000 isn't about one big decision. It's about $1,001 decisions. It's deciding to buy the clearance spaghetti sauce instead of the full price spaghetti sauce. Maybe not getting that takeout coffee, or packing your own lunch, or buying your clothes at Goodwill. Instead of buying that expensive high dollar shampoo, even if it is on clearance, maybe you can find some shampoo that will work just as well for much less money. So when you're trying to save money, just remember $1,001 decisions. It's so much easier when you think of it as just $1 at a time instead of trying to save 1,000 all at once. Well, except for cookie mix, you got to have cookies. One thing I don't mind stocking up on is spices. Spices have a very long shelf life, usually 2 to 4 years. Personally, I'm not against supplements, but I think if you're eating healthy, you probably don't need them. What do you think? When I find a clearance shelf with a lot of stuff on it like this one, I take my time and really pick through it. Sometimes way in the back, I will find something that I really need. Lately, I've been using a new technique. Instead of asking myself, do I need it? I ask myself, can I live without it? And usually the answer is yes. I did end up buying that men's shampoo, conditioner / body wash all in one. They had 3 bottles for $1.72, so I grabbed all 3, and that will keep John Wayne smelling pretty for about 6 months. I spent $54.75 pre-tax, and I didn't feel like I got that much, but I will show you what I did get. I got some tomatoes for $2.56 and some lettuce for $2.99, yogurt for $2.19 a container, half and half was $5.49, some berries, blackberries for $1.67, raspberries for $1.67, some bananas for $1.01, these 4 avocados for $3.89, and that was all pretty much full price. I guess maybe these berries were considered on sale. Cucumber for $1.50. That's their normal price on that. Sour cream was on sale for $2. And then hamburger was on sale for $3.99 a pound. I got 2 pounds. One of them rang up for $2.74 because I had a store coupon that I had clipped online. And then these were just some clearance items I picked up for future use. Prego. This was on clearance for 70 cents. I only had 2 jars, but I went ahead and got both of them. That's garam masala, I think is how you say it, was $1.88. This spice is a mixture of spices, and you use it in a lot of, Indian dishes mainly. But I really like it, so I went ahead and grabbed this. They had 3 bottles of this Old Spice shampoo with conditioner that I got for John Wayne. I could have bought a ton of these because I love Reese's. They were 44 cents each. And I didn't buy them for me. I bought them for my grandkids, and I'm going to put them in the freezer. In the summer, I have what's called Camp Nana Banana. So every Monday, all my grandkids come over, plus a couple of extras they're extra grandkids I have. And I'm going to hand these out at Camp Nana Banana, which is also why I got this cookie mix. I got 4 of these for $1.48 each. That's cheaper than buying a package of cookies. 2 packages of instant rice, $1.39, Korean barbecue. I assume they're not going to carry that flavor anymore. and a couple of packages of the Spanish rice, which they had a ton of it, and each package was 54 cents. But man, I'm getting a lot of rice. How much rice can one person eat, or two people eat? This $54 was really just for a couple of days. Since I just got home from vacation, I just had to grab stuff to get by until I go to the grocery store on Monday. But I'll tell you what we are going to have the next couple of days. As always, fruit and yogurt. One night we're going to have tacos. I've got everything for tacos. I just needed lettuce, tomatoes, and hamburger. And I've got the taco shells. I've got onions. I've got, and I did buy some sour cream, so I've got sour cream. And then tonight, I got really sick on vacation, and so I really haven't eaten yet. And if I can, I'm going to try to eat kind of a little Greek plate, which is just rice and a few beans, some olives, some artichoke hearts, maybe half an avocado, a little bit of cucumber, and some tomatoes. And I don't know if I can tolerate it, but we'll see. If not, we'll have potato soup. And then all of this is going in the prepper pantry. But as you can see, most meals build on themselves. I already had the tomatoes, I already had the artichoke hearts, I already had the olives, and I already had this rice, and I already had these beans. And so all the clearance stuff that I buy, I don't necessarily eat it the week I buy it, but it's going to be some future week. And that's how it builds on itself until pretty soon almost everything you're eating is clearance. Well, friends, we made it back from Tennessee, and it went really well. I enjoyed the trip, except for about the last day and a half when I got extremely sick. And I don't know if it was food poisoning or norovirus or just some intestinal bug. I called my daughter, the RN, and I'm describing my symptoms, and she's like, well, it sounds like a virus, but I'm not there and I don't know. And she kept telling me just to try to drink a tablespoon of water or a teaspoon of water every 5 minutes. And I was trying, but I couldn't keep it down. And finally, John Wayne's like, we're going home before I get it. We may not get back if I get it. So he made me a nest in the back of the truck, and I slept all the way home. And I was really sick, got real dehydrated, and I'm still trying to recover. Yesterday, I had 4 saltine crackers. Today, I've had 4 saltine crackers and maybe a cup of tomato soup. But I'm hoping I can eat a little bit more tonight. But on the plus side, I've lost 5 pounds. But as always, if you stick around to the end, I tell you a story. And so I decided to tell a story of when we took our kids camping. And some of you have said you don't like the stories. If you don't like the stories, stop watching here, because here comes the story. When our kids were little, we tent camped, and it seemed like it was always a torrential downpour or a storm or something. And so finally, we moved up in the world enough to be able to buy a pop-up camper. And I remember, I think we paid about $5,500 for it, and just thinking that was a fortune. And it was for us, but we bought it, and we were so excited to have it, not to have to sleep on the ground, to be able to have a little kind of kitchen and a bathroom inside it. Those were exciting times. And as you know, I sold cars. I sold cars for Saturn, and they were made in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I got promoted to a managerial position, I had to go take a class. They required it at the plant, take a tour of the plant, teach me how to be a manager. And then my husband and the kids met me in Nashville. They picked me up, and then we stayed a few days and went camping. Well, since we didn't have a ton of money, we did a few things that we didn't normally do. And one of the things we did was we took the kids to a movie, and that was rare. The movie that we took them to see was Twister. And I guess it was really scary because they were little, and so it was a scary movie for them. And the only other movie I ever remember taking my kids to was Jurassic Park. So apparently we only took our kids to really scary movies, and now they are terrified of tornadoes and dinosaurs. I'm sure that we did take them to other movies, but not a lot because we didn't have the money to do it. And I just remember those movies because they scared them. And they've since said, "Why did you take us to those movies? What were you thinking?" Well, anyway, we did. We took them to a movie, and they all loved it at the time. And then we went back to the campground, and the next day we took them swimming. This particular campground in Tennessee had a swimming pool at it, and a lot of campgrounds do now. Not in Kansas, but in other states, they have made them, they'll have they'll have golfing or frisbee golf or swimming pools, horseback riding, all kinds of things. In fact, one of the state parks that we just visited on this vacation had all of that stuff. They're kind of a destination of themselves. Well, this campground had a swimming pool, and so we took the kids swimming, and they were having all kinds of fun. And I'm going to show you some pictures from this vacation here at the end. And you can kind of tell in the background of the pictures that it was starting to get a little bit stormy. In fact, I think we finally had to leave because it was just getting too stormy. They closed the pool. And we went back to the campground, and I think we were getting dinner together. And after a little bit, the park ranger starts driving through the campground. "We are under a tornado warning. Please go to the shelter house to seek shelter." I already told us someplace to go. Well, we didn't immediately jump in the truck and rush up to the shelter house. First of all, my husband decided to go to the bathroom. So he went up to this bathroom, and he said, as he's coming out, he like almost slammed into our son, who was like looking for him, like, "Where are you? Why aren't we going to seek shelter?" And of course, they're just driving around the campground with this megaphone, "Please take shelter. We are under a tornado warning." And I'm like gathering up these plastic lawn chairs that were like $5 each. Remember those green plastic lawn chairs everybody had back in the 90s that didn't fold or anything? And they weren't worth anything, but I guess I was worried about losing those lawn chairs. I'm trying to tie everything down and put the awning down on the pop-up, and my son starts screaming. So this has become like a family story. "Just leave the lawn chairs. Just leave the lawn chairs." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And we jumped in John Wayne's truck, and we went up to this shelter place that they had, and we were sitting in the shelter place for a long time, and the electricity went out, and the wind blew really hard, and I think there was a tornado not very far from where we were, but it didn't hit the campground. Well, that kind of started a lifelong fear of tornadoes for my son. And when he was living in the state of New York, and he lived in New York, I don't know, 11 years or so, and he loved it there. He said one of the reasons he loved it is because they rarely had a tornado, if ever. And when he was in New York, we started getting all of these pamphlets for tornado shelters, because we lived in a house that only had a half basement at the time. And he was always worried that we didn't have enough shelter. And so he was always sending these pamphlets. In fact, one time John Wayne had said, "I don't know why we keep getting all these pamphlets for storm shelters." And he's like, "I'm sending them to you. You need to get a storm shelter." And he's like, "I'll even come home and help you install it if you'll buy it." And we didn't buy it. But we did, when we moved to this house that we live in now, we put a storm shelter in the basement. And so now we're safe. But his fear of tornadoes comes from this vacation, watching Twisters, and then 2 days later, having that storm come through our campground. Now, also, a big memory that happened on that trip is this: we were mean parents. We were really mean parents. And so we told our kids, I think they were getting on our nerves, so we gave them a trash bag and a stick and told them if they would walk out in the woods and rattle the stick around the bag that maybe they could catch a snipe. And so they spent a lot of time snipe hunting on that trip. And of course, it wasn't until years later they learned there is no such thing as a snipe. But that is just the kind of immature, mean parents we were. And probably same grandparents, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you find some bargains. I'll be back in a couple of days probably, because I have to probably get a few more things before I go to Garden City. Maybe not, we'll see. And I'll keep rolling out a few vacation videos as I have time. So watch them if you want. Don't if you don't want to. You're not obligated to. And don't forget to subscribe. These great stories, you might miss one if you don't subscribe. And anyway, I hope you find some great bargains. I hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you soon. You can tell we're in Tennessee because we've made a pilgrimage to the Jack Daniel's distillery. John Wayne and the kids are all stylishly dressed, and they all like whiskey now. There was that pop-up in the background, and everyone just having a blast. Not sure what's happening here, but at least they're smiling. Looks like John Wayne is preparing to do some campfire cooking. And here's the famous snipe hunt. This is in Nashville when we went and saw Twisters. Now, as you can see, it was looking pretty stormy out. The kids were having a blast, but you can see that storm moving in the background. And by that evening, we were under a tornado warning and barely escaped with our lives. But in reality, it was just a lot of rain and wind, and John Wayne had to empty all of the water off of the awning.